I'm Tim Draper, and I invest in big ideas before they become the next big thing. I invested in Tesla, SpaceX, Twitch, all when they were just a sparkle in that entrepreneur's eye. This season, I'm traveling the globe to find game-changing entrepreneurs with world-transforming ideas. I'll bring these visionary innovators to Hero City in the heart of Silicon Valley, where they'll compete for $1 million investment. Here is the twist. You, the viewers, can vote for your favorite entrepreneurs and help them secure a spot in the finale. Who will rise to the challenge and secure the funding to turn their dreams into reality? Let's find out together on Season 7 of... All right, New York City, I think we're going to find a lot of entrepreneurs here. Whether they're down here on the street selling hot dogs or up there in that big building doing big deals, there are entrepreneurs everywhere here. Should we meet up with a few entrepreneurs?
I have my own business right now.
How about later?
Maybe, but I haven't even brainstormed yet, so.
How about we brainstorm right now?
Right now?
Should we try it? Yeah. ¿Tiene visión de negocios?
No sé. Sí, yes.
¿Qué tipo de
Food.
food?
Ajá.
¿Como esto?
Yeah.
¿Qué tipo de comida?
Latino?
Latino.
Ajá, yeah.
Oh, bueno. That was fun. We're on 7th Avenue. This is the Fashion Avenue. How's my fashion? Pretty good, huh? So are you thinking of starting your own business?
No. You gotta crawl before you walk.
Not yet, but later on maybe.
Yes.
What kind of business?
I would like to open up a laundromat in Harlem.
Oh,
Make the business more reliable and more credible.
that's a great idea. We're looking around for the great entrepreneurs of the world. Maybe that guy. Hey, you want to be on? Have you ever started a business?
I haven't started a business, but I have ambitions of starting one.
Good. What are you going to do?
I don't know, I'm trying to protect my dream though, so I don't know if I should share the details.
Oh, always share. Always share.
Yeah?
Always, because it gets better and better the more you
What
share.
if you steal my dream?
I won't. I got too many dreams of my own.
Hey, well, I'll tell you this. Whoever
Okay.
has a dream out there, I wish you nothing but the best. And if you want to achieve, you got to chase it wholeheartedly. Every day you wake up, grind, 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 and push towards that dream. And if you push hard enough, one day it will come true.
What's your name?
My name's Reggie.
Reggie. I'm Tim. Good
Nice
to meet
Tim.
you.
God bless you, Tim.
This
and
is
I'm-
great.
Excuse me, sir. You don't got to be Rockefeller to help a fella.
I don't have anything but Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Do you have a Bitcoin
Yeah,
wallet?
Bitcoin wallet? That's what I'm about to say, your wallet.
I could send Bitcoin.
That's a very convenient answer. I'll tell you that. That answer is very convenient.
Terrific.
God bless you.
Thank
all right?
you. God bless
Fellas,
you.
I wish you nothing
Thank
but
you.
the best, all right?
New York, my gosh, it just keeps thriving. They've been through so much here, and they just keep coming back.
Good morning, I'm Pirangelo Raiola, the CEO and co-founder of Nora LTI.
I'm Erin DeWicki, and I'm the CEO of LymeAlert.
I'm Brenda Ong, and I'm the COO of LymeAlert.
I'm Lucas Posada. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Takenos.
My name is Jesse Michaelberg, and we at Reaction Dynamics are delivering critical space assets.
What would $1 million investment be?
Nothing, because we raised. No, will be just a testament to our vision, and we can enable all of you to use our product globally.
$1 million would help us to test our product market fit.
And further, would allow us to test for multiple diseases from a single tick.
Very proud to be a profitable company. The thing is that in order to grow, you have to invest.
It would enable us to achieve our first space flight.
I want to get the money.
All right, welcome everybody to meet the Drapers! Whoa! It is so great to be here in the Big Apple. We have two new Drapers here, two old Drapers and two young and new. We have Ryan Bloomer. Ryan is an entrepreneurial investor.
New York's my home city, so I'm really excited for the entrepreneurs to come and bring it today.
We have Lauren Birnbaum. She is really extraordinary. She was the 6th employee from TikTok. That was before anybody even could tick.
Just really excited to be here and excited to make everyone meet the Draper famous as well as TikTok famous.
And to my left is Polly Draper, actress, writer, producer, director. She has received a Writers Guild of America award that I never knew she won. Congratulations. High five. That was a high five, old people high five. Here's the big question. What are you going to look for in an entrepreneur? Lauren, you can tell me, how are you going to mold that into a TikTok?
I think it's all about communication and having that hook. And what's that one-liner, that elevator pitch that's going to be really TikTokified.
And Ryan?
What's the problem that you're solving? The product typically changes multiple times over the course of any entrepreneurial journey. What is your insight to be able to change and solve that problem?
Polly, how about you? You've been on this show so many times, you've become like an extraordinary venture capitalist.
The passion for their product, and if something is about a cause that I believe in, I'm going to be more inclined probably to vote for them.
Crystal Ball has similar passion. Yeah. It would be remiss of me not to mention AI here. It's going to take all of our jobs. Then our jobs are going to be more interesting and we're going to move to another level. So with that, let's bring on our first entrepreneur. But before we do, let's see what's going on behind the scenes.
You're never ready to do a startup. It's not an easy decision to make. So for all of us, we had to give up good jobs and a stable income. Mm-hmm. But if we don't do it now, there's no other time in our lives that we will be able to do it.
I grew up in a fairly financially unstable type household, and I always vowed I would give my kids stability. I have 2 kids. This is not a great time in my life to be not having a stable job and starting my own business. But at the end of the day, I'm helping to create a world where my girls are seeing me set a goal and go after it, because I do want to see them see a team of women in science, kick ass and do this.
Actually, coming out and being in that startup environment is very, very refreshing. It is very challenging. I would say the journey has been like a roller coaster. So far, we're enjoying every minute of it.
Just started our first field trial, so we're in the process of collecting tips and bringing them to the lab, and we are going to go out to a field with a white sheet and drag it and collect them in fields too.
Not something we thought we would be doing 1 year ago.
No.
My family, I think when I came to MIT, they thought I was just gonna come here and find a normal job. I think the last thing they expected me to do was to pursue entrepreneurship. But for them, it's also that part of them that seeing their daughter being able to pursue her dreams, being able to do what she needs to do to make sure her life is one without regret.
I think my entire life I've been considered an underdog. I didn't grow up with the right background, and yet I've continued to defy expectations. I was a 5'3" Division I soccer goalkeeper. I don't like when people tell me I'm not going to succeed at something, because I love to prove people wrong, that I'm just going to fight harder and be a success no matter what.
Who would have been your first call if you do win?
I'll call my parents. I think they will be secretly proud of me.
I like the secretly.
New York is a place with a lot of energy. It's always bustling, and people here are always doing something interesting. Every time I'm here, I always head down to Urban Hawker for a taste of Singapore, especially when I miss home.
I'm looking for a really good meal, checking out some museums while we're here and seeing some really good artwork. MoMA is one of my favorites.
MoMA's great. The people here, they always seem to be hustling, and there's always something to do in New York. People are eating their lunch by the bench, just enjoying life.
Green spaces like this are just so important for people's mental health in general. Clearly, having it be so vibrant here is an indicator of how important it is to the people who live here.
New York is very different now. I think you really see all sorts of people here, from all over the world. It's a melting pot of many, many, many cultures. So there's definitely always nerves every time we pitch. I think even if we've done this like 10,000 times, we still have nerves.
There was a helicopter hovering in the background, there were sirens. Right, so I'm Erin, this is Brenda, and we are LymeAlert. We are the first home tick testing kit for Lyme disease.
Does it work?
It works.
How long do you have to have the tick in you before it counts?
So that's based on a human test, not on, we're testing the tick, not the patient. So for example, this is my patient.
So we gotta find the tick and send it to you?
You know, we put a lot of work and preparation into having a really cohesive pitch. So to not even have the chance to start that pitch and get interrupted, it felt really disrespectful. This is my patient. He found a tick on himself over a month ago. It was embedded behind his ear, which is a common spot. And the pediatrician said, just wait, see if you get symptoms like a fever or a bullseye rash. But those were symptoms he never got. So by the time he ended up in my office, he had a huge, hot, red, swollen knee. At age 12, he has Lyme arthritis.
Hey, would you do something? Will you check behind my ear? I've been. It's that one.
You know what? You should see a certified physician.
We had a possible emergency there.
You know, we weren't really sure how to respond to that. As somebody who works in orthopedics, definitely out of my scope. Healthcare is super expensive, so people delay treatment. When you do get an appointment, blood tests miss up to 60% of early stage cases. So many people think they don't have Lyme disease when they actually do.
Is this a blood test or a pee test?
We are testing the tick. So if you find a tick on you or your dog or your horse, you test it and you'll immediately know.
Out of all the ticks that you've tested, what percent of those have Lyme?
54% of ticks in the New England and Greater Atlantic region, like here in New York, have Lyme disease.
Lyme? Oh boy.
To build awareness about Lyme disease is super important. A lot of people here in New York don't know you can get Lyme disease sitting in Central Park. So our solution is an easy-to-use home test kit. If you find a tick anywhere, crush it. The solution inside works just like a COVID test, and that will clearly tell you if your tick carries disease or not and what steps you should take next.
If we're at 54%, if we've got a tick on us,
yeah, you might as well do that.
We're almost there.
So if you treat everyone with antibiotics, then antibiotic resistance is a real growing threat, and there are superbugs starting to form. So the global Lyme disease testing market is valued at over $10 billion last year.
But Lyme disease diagnostics in humans, not in ticks.
So we are the first one. So the status quo is either you find a tick and you mail it to a lab, which is expensive, or you get a blood test. But the blood tests miss 60% of early stage cases. We are the first one coming up with a home tick testing kit. You can know if you need prophylactic antibiotics which prevent disease.
The problem with this disease is not the lack of a cure. The problem really is in the lack of a accurate diagnostic tool.
We are a team of 4. We're recent graduates from MIT.
So 4 MIT students, is that going to be a problem down the road when one of them just decides to bail and, you know, and all that stuff happens that normally happens with entrepreneurs?
The stories we're getting from people who have been personally affected by this are really driving us. I mean, we could be doing anything, and frankly, we could have really well-paying jobs, but we chose each other and we chose this problem.
Is it standard consumer behavior to remove the tick and keep it, or do people typically throw it away?
That's what inspired it. I am a healthcare provider, and I get calls every single week from people who have found a tick and say, I found a tick on me, what do I do with it? And my answer typically is nothing. I'm going to treat you just in case, but that's also contributing to this antibiotic resistance issue.
So we're going to have to train humans to save the bug.
Pull out the tick.
Pull out the bug and save it.
This is one of the things we were hoping to achieve also, like some awareness about the treatment for Lyme disease.
And the go-to-market's B2B.
Go-to-market is B2B, but it can also be B2C to B.
So that's business to consumer to bug?
Sorry, B to B to C.
There we go.
But I love that.
Are payers paying for this?
Not yet, because it doesn't exist in the market yet.
What, is there a through line to why they should?
This prevents a lot of healthcare spending. So the average cost per person to treat Lyme disease is over $4,000.
Yeah, that might be the bigger problem, paying for all of the treatments.
Lyme disease costs the US healthcare system over $1.3 billion last year, and antibiotic resistant cost over $4 billion. So this is a huge issue.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much for coming to be on Meet the Drapers. Go get them.
We're feeling good.
Yeah. You know, we kind of had our prepared pitch and there was a lot of questions in the middle of it. It made the flow a little bit tricky, but I think we did okay.
Maybe they should change the name to TikTok.
Oh, ooh, I like that.
For our very first fund, we saw a diagnostics company and I asked a bunch of investors about diagnostics and they all said stay away from diagnostics.
Pfizer made a lot on the COVID tests.
But like for a startup, it's so hard to get the distribution.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get a cost that makes sense.
Lauren, what'd you think?
I'm concerned about changing consumer behavior to take the bug out, keep it, and then crush it. I feel like there's a handful of steps that are kind of adverse to what your normal reaction would be. I've taken a tick out of my 3-year-old son, and the first thing I did was throw it away. I was so grossed out.
Everybody hates bugs. No one's going to be like, ooh, I have to take this.
You need a quick test and a quick cure.
Yeah.
I think the cure would solve the real problem.
Then we got some.
Yeah, and I was so all in.
LymeAlert! All right. Let's bring on our next entrepreneur. But before we do, let's see what's going on behind the scenes.
My story begins a little bit before me with my grandfather, who came to Canada as a child refugee after World War II, provided me and my family with all kinds of opportunity to pursue our dreams. For me, that actually meant studying neuroscience and genetics at the University of California, Los Angeles. I kind of call that my first life. After which I enlisted into the military, spent a few years in the Middle East. That's my second life. And when I came home, I pursued a master's in business. That was my third life. Each of these 3 areas came together to allow me to excel in a role in the space sector. Space is a part of our everyday lives, whether we like it or not. If you are, swiping your credit card, that's bouncing off a satellite. If you're shipping goods to your loved ones across the country, that's guided and navigated by satellite technology. If you're checking the weather, this is all coming from satellite technology. To have a thriving human economy, we need a robust space economy. I never knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. I think my parents probably always thought I was a little crazy. Going from academia to military to business is very winding. I found myself in that journey and it's brought to me, to where I am today. And I'm currently a student at Columbia University studying negotiations with a thesis in space and defense.
How do you feel about the fact that you're, working on rockets?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty proud of myself. I don't know if I should I'm thinking of getting a little deep, but
you get deep.
Yeah, I mean, how does
if you're comfortable sharing?
How does somebody say that they struggle with mental health? And it's it's a struggle every day. But what makes me get up in the morning is the fact that there's a team of dedicated people who care about each other, who care about what it is that we're looking to do. Changing the way that human space travel and space logistics influences the world. I get to show up to work every day with people who really care, and I love it. I think my younger self would be proud. When I was a kid, when people used to ask me what you wanted to be when you grow up, I used to say space cowboy, and I like to think that today I'm somewhat of a space cowboy. It feels like everyone in New York is a bit of an entrepreneur. So whether you're going out and getting drinks or sitting by the park, you meet somebody and they're building a business, and it just makes it a fantastic opportunity for networking. There's all kinds of beautiful communities, fantastic restaurants, a great vibe, a great culture. I'm a big fan of sushi. There's a lot of great omakase around here. I'm still finding my way around New York. I just moved here, so it's hard to know and so being here at Columbia with so many different communities, cultures, and nationalities is a really great fit. Columbia's been around for quite some time, obviously has its foundings in an Ivy League school. Actually just recently had the president of Chile. Other folks like Hillary Clinton are teaching classes here, so there's a really high caliber of professors. The program is the #1 in the country, and as a result, my classmates are just really top tier. They come from places like South America, Africa, Europe. I've never been in a place that everyone you ask just loves it here. Everyone is just emphatic about being based in New York, living here. It's a bit like jumping off a plane. You know, there's a lot of preparation that goes into packing your parachute, but once you jump out of that plane, ride with the wave. So I'd like to tell you all about my story, but that begins far before me with my grandfather, a man who had come to this country with $2 stuffed into his left shoe. It was his relentless work ethic that would separate him from the rest. His obsession with economic development, innovation, with leveraging technology to build resilient communities has been deeply instilled in me and in our pursuit of a stronger and more resilient society. We at Reaction Dynamics, we are delivering critical space assets and satellite infrastructure for governments, agencies, and commercial operators alike. Our launch and delivery vehicle systems can be deployed both from Earth or from space, ushering in a new era. I really took the perspective that just being on the show was a win and trying to make the most of the opportunity. We've raised nearly $10 million in private capital to date and have secured an additional $10 million in government grants. But we're also here to service the communications and entertainment sector, launching the network in social networking.
God, you are smooth. But you started by talking about your dad and
my grandfather.
Your grandfather. And then all of a sudden we're talking about satellites and rockets, and why is one connected to the other?
Well, it's important to me, and it's sort of my origin story. You know, for me, my grandfather was a real estate mogul, leveraging technology to build really resilient communities. And in my role today at Reaction Dynamics, we're doing exactly that.
So it's more about your grandfather escaping to the U.S. and now you're defending the U.S.
Absolutely. And I'd like to actually invite all of you to our launch pad next August as we demonstrate the world's first and only hybrid rocket to fire in the vacuum of space.
In space, outside the atmosphere?
Yes.
You can fire this rocket?
Yes. Our rocket uses hybrid propulsion. I'll give you maybe an intro to rocket science. I do think that rocket science is a bit tough to explain in under 2 minutes. Hybrids are a lot like logs burning in a fire. As a log burns, it reduces in size, which reduces its surface area. So at any given moment, less of the log is burning, which produces less heat and less energy. What we've been able to do is patent the engine architecture, leveraging fuel very similarly to an onion, where there are layers of fuel with increasing gradients, maintaining our performance, but increasing storability. It's non-toxic, it's non-hazardous. It makes it incredibly easy to use, maintain, operate, and that's why our first customer is the U.S. Department of Defense.
Now you've got $10 million in orders, is that what I heard?
So we've raised $10 million in private capital to date. We've matched that with another $10 million from the government.
Oh, okay. Any revenue?
I think each of the judges sort of had their own relationship with the company. Tim was really focused on our revenues, our customer traction. We're actually on track to do $5 to $10 million in revenue at the end of this year. That contract will turn into a $250 million contract in 2 years' time.
Have you launched the rockets yet?
We've tested the engine over 300 times. It works. Next August, it will be the world's first hybrid rocket to fire in the vacuum of space, which has really big implications for human space travel and space logistics. It lowers costs incredibly, and it makes things very easy to store and stockpile.
He gave me a little remedial class before we did this because I was confused.
They all understood that we were doing something really critical, and I think Paulie in particular really took hold of that and saw the value in it.
I asked why Elon Musk doesn't use this, and he said he's invested billions and billions of dollars in this certain way, and it's like a tree that has roots.
It's hard for a big company to ship.
It's hard for a big company to ship.
That's why entrepreneurs
but the government, doesn't Elon Musk have some stake?
We're actually going to be working with Gravitics and SpaceX on this US government contract.
So you're going to go up on a SpaceX rocket, and then you're going to launch off of that.
His rocket.
Our 6 rockets will be housed in a Gravitics station, and that Gravitics station will be housed in Starship.
People are going to be on that thing?
So to start, it will only be payloads.
Do they all bounce off each other? Like if you shoot 6 at once in 6 different directions, do you get the thrust off of each of them?
So do you mean the satellites or the rockets?
Your rockets. If they're stuck together and you shoot them against each other, wouldn't they go a lot faster?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Yeah, Tim's a character, but most people who have an incredible amount of success are. It takes somebody who's got vision to really pick and choose those companies that will succeed, and he's got that in him. They are housed and they will launch individually. Within each satellite, we have up to 200 kilograms of capacity. Sometimes that's just one satellite. Other times, if for example payloads are only 50 kilograms, we can launch 4 payloads at a time, and that's called rideshare.
Jesse, thank you so much. Thanks for being a part of Meet the Drapers.
Well, it's over, or it's just beginning. We'll find out soon.
I think he's fantastic in every single way, explaining so that I can understand what he's talking about. It's quite a feat. There's no foothold for me, and he explained it that the onion, each layer gets hotter. That's a vivid image. It gave me an idea. I think Elon Musk's go in zillion different directions, and now I'm confusing everybody. But I felt like when he explained it to me, somewhere deep inside I got it.
Seems like he's creating economies of scale in what's typically a very capex intensive business to send things to space, which I think is important.
So let's bring on our next entrepreneur. But before we do, let's see what's going on behind the scenes.
Good morning, I'm Pierangelo Raiola, the CEO and co-founder of Nora LTI. As you can probably hear, I'm originally from Italy. I'm born in Napoli, which is in the south, but when I was 7, I had this crazy passion for the mountains, and I started doing a competition in alpine skiing, and very soon my dream was to be an Olympian ski racer. I was drafted professionally when I was 17 years old. I had the pleasure to travel the world. In this particular moment of my life, I was just about competing at the highest level. Unfortunately, when it comes to any sports, you are exposed to, injuries. I made all the possible wrong choices, and that unfortunately culminated with a chronic deficiency on my knee, which compromised my professional alpine skiing career. When I immediately stopped, I worked on our family business. When I was an athlete, I wanted to compete at the highest level. With all the respect for my family, I want to recreate the same intensity that I had when I was skiing. There was only one place, which was, of course, the United States of America. Since I stepped my foot in the United States, I have only one mission in life. I want to create an environment in which anyone has access to a better life. It comes with empowering ourselves with the right information. This is all that matters, to be honest, because it's something that I've experienced myself. To be successful in this business, we want to count at the end of the year how many people feel better, they're free of pain, or they just are more self-confident because they're taking care of our healthcare. When you're an athlete, you're very present because you compete every day. You don't know whether you're going to be in the national team or you're going to make the Olympics. And I will say that that's the same as an entrepreneur. You never know whether you're going to be successful or not, and you got to be crazy to try, right? There's a lot of uncertainty on the outcome, but what is certain is what we can do every day to improve ourselves and to improve the business. I've been in New York for 7 years. It's the best city in the world, in my opinion. With the right mindset here, you just can grow both professionally and personally. The first moment I was in love. One of the beautiful things about the city is that it's always full on. It's 24/7, which I can imagine that can be chaotic for a lot of people, but I think it's the perfect platform from entrepreneurs or any other person that want to succeed. Here on the piers we have so many courts where we play with friends, we do tournaments, even just pick up, which is a great way to meet new people. If you like outdoor sports, I think you will find the perfect vibe here in New York City. Of course, being Italian, one of my passions is of course the food. I mean, when you are in New York, you're just amazed by the quality and the different type of cuisine that you're surrounded. So of course I will always go for Italian. It's incredible because there's a couple of restaurants that are even better than in Italy. Even after 7 years, I'm here to discover day to day. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I chose this city to live in. It reminds me of the good old days when I was competing. You have the moment while you're preparing, rehearsing, then you go on stage. I would say one word, electric.
I think, it all comes down to a story. When I was a kid, I wanted to be an Olympian ski racer. And when I made it professionally, as all of you that practice sports, I've experienced injuries. I spent hours and hours navigating on the internet, trying to find the right solution. And because of it, I made wrong choices. I had unnecessary step, late intervention. That culminated with a chronic deficiency on my knee. I couldn't ski top level anymore.
You feel the power of the city. There were the skyscraper, full in Manhattan. I don't think there's any better environment to have a live event, to be honest, because you get the New York energy.
But the same Pierangelo right now will have Nora. Nora is the first AI assistant that enabled me to navigate with confidence and precision. With Nora, I can chat about my symptoms. I can talk to the agent, so instantly I can have tailored, actionable educational content.
What was the problem you had that an AI would have helped you with?
I think all of it, like we have so many acute injuries, very small injuries that we don't take care of. It's all about all the symptoms so that we can be preventative. A clear example is my ankle. I twist my ankle just walking. I made the wrong choices. I thought, I just could have healed by myself, but in reality I had a torn ligament. I should have gone to an orthopedic immediately. I lost 2-3 months, and then I had a deficiency that then, because I was working in a different way, it impacted my arc cartilage on my knee.
I felt the energy in that specific moment with all the jury that they were really grasping what I've been through as a consumer.
From the very little things that we don't take care on a very daily basis, we pay the bill.
Is this for the consumer?
It's for the consumer. Because consumer, where they are in pain, they turn to content. You want to empower them. How do we empower them? First, you want to chat. Words will only take you so far. We got to see you. Then we can understand whether you have mobility impairment, strength deficiency, just with simple imaging, motion test. Then we provide precise care option that you can navigate.
Why are you better than all the other AI for medicine? General AI companies can provide me with a lot of good medical advice.
I love the style. I think it's very direct, comes from what I would call it the old school.
I've been an athlete, so I love to talk about track record. We have big domain expertise. The founding team has built a previous startup, a screening solution in computer vision with 6-digit revenue. We will always see the rise of AI agent for traditional workflows. You want to provide a level of integration with also what you can purchase. We are in New York. Where is the orthopedic that I can see? Or maybe a dietitian. All the information must be fine-tuned precisely through the best clinical guideline for you.
Can you walk us through this? What do? You have an app on your...
Probably I took for granted a couple of terms that, because I come from digital health, in my opinion, they were easy to understand, but in reality, again, I could have been more a storyteller.
I want to give you a precise example of the most successful use case that we had so far. Julia had a problem on his shoulder. For 6 months, she went to primary care doctor. She tried CBD products. Nothing seemed to work. She came to the agent. Nora was able to qualify with very simple LLM chatbot and then a computer vision range of motion test that most likely was a nerve impingement. And we connected Julia with a neurology specialist. Now Julia is free of pain.
You inputted a scan of her shoulder?
Correct. It's all about imaging. Very simple thing.
She did it herself?
Yeah, she did it.
She had the imaging. She had the CT scan or whatever, and she put it into this.
I used a couple of terms like imaging, computer vision. At the end of the day, it's much simpler than this. Our phone has a camera. Our images and certain movements, we can understand whether you have a very severe condition.
When I talk about range of motion test, it can be, can you just extend your elbow? Any limit in your mobility, your strength? And every simple data, it's pivotal.
Does your AI incorporate the scan from a CT?
As of today, no, but this is a tremendous feature requested by most of our consumers.
Yeah, that would make it much more interesting.
I know what I bring to the table, and I'm sure that if there's any specific weaknesses, it has been fully addressed with all our team members, which are rock stars.
What's the go-to-market? How do you want to roll this?
We wanted to have immediate iteration, so that's why we have 400,000 people in less than 6 months.
And what does that mean, 400,000?
400,000 people have used our product. We're already more than 50 enterprises in the marketplace, and all of these enterprises, they want to white label our agent for care navigation. So imagine that the agent is not only available on your fingertip, but has a level of integration with the enterprise.
We're going to have to end. It's starting to rain. All right, great. Here, Angelo. Thank you very much.
A lot of interaction. That's what we love here. It's always beautiful to express yourself and get insights on what you're building.
Oh, umbrellas.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had them. Yeah. That's great. So
I would like someone to give me a remedial course in what he does. You take it and you put it up to your shoulder.
That seems like the innovation.
Have you used ChatGPT or anything yet?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can ask it anything. You can put in anything.
But I mean, physically about yourself, my shoulder hurts this way, and this way. And they're like, well, it could be this. This is your specific shoulder that we're talking about. That's the difference.
So they get more data that's more specific.
I think it's a custom in Japan. If you're under the same umbrella, you have to get married.
You have to kiss.
Oh, kiss.
You have to kiss. Oh, this show is so much fun. Let's move on to our next entrepreneur, and let's hope that they're very hardy. But before we do, let's see what's going on behind the scenes.
It's my first startup. I'm from a small town in the south of the Patagonia. When internet came specifically to my home, like I got hooked. I believe that was the moment when my journey started. I've spent hours trying to understand how the computer worked. I've discovered this very specific hobby, which was like ordering freebies and samples. So I said okay, maybe I write about this. That was the beginning of a blog that went viral in Argentina. I was 15 years old and I made that into a business. I was getting 3-4K checks at my mom's name, and I used to ask my mom to cash them, and she's like, I don't want to cash these checks. What are you doing online? And I was like, no, it's legit. It's like, I have this blog. I said, what is a blog? And I think that at the end, she just trusts me and said okay, let's cash these checks. That went on till I was 17, 18. I started offering my services, and that's when I discovered the cross-border freelancer world. It was very hard for me to cash that money or to make it available to spend it locally. It was not as hard as the beginning when I had to make my mom cash the checks, but it was still hard. And I made my own tricks, around it, how to move the money. That's when I think that everything that then became Takenos started. Beginning of 2021 and the pandemic, I had a lot of friends asking me how do you get your money out of here? You work in fintech. So I pitched the company where I was working in. We should build something around this product, this segment. And I was like, yeah, it's not our focus. It's we do other kind of products. I was like, okay. I just quit and build it on my own.
Your mom, who was cashing those checks, how did she feel?
You're making a lot of money. You could buy your home being very young. Yeah, I could, but I want to do this. I mean, she was always supportive. She sees me very happy with building what I built. I was a kid and I used to watch Friends. So it's oh, this is a place somewhere else, very, very far. It's kind of watching something from the movies, but in real life. So the first time I came with my family. So I was 15 years old. It was a great experience coming from the small city in the south of Patagonia to one of the biggest cities in the world. It was shocking, but amazing. It's pretty inspiring being in one of the world's most important financial districts. All the movements, all the people gets in your energy. What I love about New York is the artistic scene, and I love the Soho scene, visiting stores, Brooklyn, and see the murals on the street. It's that. Those are the things that I enjoy the most. 2 years ago, with one of my co-founders and my best friend, we made our burgers tour in New York. It's pretty fun when I come here. I always remember that trip, and it really brings me great memories. Yeah, I'm more one-on-one meeting kind of person, which is not kind of my thing, but I practice a lot. I was very excited. Well, hello everyone, I'm Lucas Posada. I'm the founder and CEO of Takenos, a financial app for cross-border workers, freelancers, and contractors. You can open an account and access virtual account in the US and Europe and get instant access to payments or cash or even stablecoin.
Wait, so who's paying whom?
Yeah, from Europe, the US, the rest of the world.
And they're paying people in Latin America?
And they are paying people in Latin America.
Are they using Bitcoin? What are they using?
I love that he's pretty fun. He's heard so many pitches in his life. He's been around forever. So I think he knows how to make you feel comfortable. They start with fiat, on-ramp that into stablecoin, and that's the way we disperse it.
And then from stablecoin back to the other fiat.
Yeah, so we have a 50% of them that use the stablecoin.
Oh, they just keep it?
They just keep the stablecoin and send it to different wallets.
You've got so much competition.
Yeah.
Why you?
I don't fully agree. I think there is value around brands. We are the only app
that today is reaching about 10K monthly active users, and we did it bootstrapping it. It's very common for the fintech industry to be very well funded. We didn't take that path. In our 4th, 5th month, we were generating profits, and now thank you very much. Now, so looking around, you really feel that you are in this place where everything is being built.
Yeah, so why raise money? You got it.
There are about 15 million people in the region that are working, that at least once a year, they're working for another country or someone in another region. We want to take like around 6-7% of that market to reach a $1 billion in revenues company. We need a little bit of boost to capture different markets, to launch new products.
Love to learn your monetization strategy. Or is it fees? Is it subscription? Or
the user gets to deposit for free, but then we charge different fees depending on the product that you're using to withdraw the funds, to take the funds out of the system. We also work with a yield system. It's very segmented, but it's like we try to be competitive on every one of them.
So is the competition based on price, or is it based on something else?
There are some competition in price, like in the financial ecosystem. The community today is eager for the kind of products we are building. That's one of the key aspects of what makes Takenos. But I don't see that going deep into the future. We are creating like a brand that people love, and we are like reaching new segments that are a little bit far of the traditional developer or designer. We work with therapists, we work with teachers, and even like fortune tellers. That there is this Chinese saying that water is fortune, is wealth. So I kind of took that message from nature. In that way, like the people like appreciate how the brand reaches them.
So the brand is the main unique differentiator. Like, what is the particular problem that you're solving for a therapist? I mean, there's even companies that are now starting to verticalize their wallets and payment systems for very specific people. Like, how do you?
So if you take the example of Fiverr or freelancer.com, yes, they verticalize, but you have like more than 400 platforms in Latin America that are reaching the different kind of segments. So it's getting hyper segmented, and they don't want to invest or like develop the financial infrastructure. So what happens at the end is they ended up working with PayPal or Payoneer, whose infrastructure is like not really built for this use case. So at the end, like they get a pretty bad user experience.
Exactly. Why would they upload the money to your wallet?
Basically, there are like 3 big issues around the cross-border transaction, and these issues come for like small amount transactions. So they are slow. They take from 3 to 5 business days. They are very expensive. We're talking from 5 to 10% on fees. And it's also hyper segmented. So it's like you have to go from one step to the other. So you start in like an international wallet, but then you have to go like an intermediary, a peer-to-peer, an exchange, a local player. We solve all of that in order for the user to have the experience of someone using like Venmo locally.
Terrific. Lucas, thanks for being on Meet the Drapers.
That's exciting. The question helped a lot. Really like puts you in a conversation. I'm very proud of like building something that is actually valuable and it's useful in the market.
I actually think he's on to something. The problem that he's going after is a real problem. We actually have a company that is partnered with TikTok to do the disbursements in Colombia. It ends up being really expensive for both the freelancer and then for the platform. If you could actually create something that's regional, you could create something really big, which is tough to do.
And it was interesting, it seemed like he was leaning into the social components, creating a brand of something that's not traditionally, glorified and gamified, but still kind of struggling with his competitive angle, especially in that marketplace. And if the pricing's the same, what would be the advantage?
How does he get through the red tape? Because it's individuals?
He turns the money from US dollars to cryptocurrency, to local currency, but so do a million other companies. He'd have to get a bunch of big companies to all agree before it really got super big. And he built it from scratch, so that's pretty cool. The time has come to consult with a crystal ball. I'll go through and I'll give my little thoughts. Then we'll just have to consult the crystal ball and see how it all comes out. Starting with LymeAlert. what you're going after is really important. Lyme disease is insidious. Looks like you got a good team. The bugs may or may not be good enough because you're going to have change behavior. Reaction dynamics. Space is opening up, and we're going to have to figure out how to get around out there. It's capital intensive, and you seem to be able to raise capital. I was watching to see how upright you stood. You seem to be slouching in the rain here. Maybe you can pull this all off. It's going to be a lot to pull off. Nora. Very exciting. AI has taken over the world. My concerns with Nora are going to be related to, can I do pretty much the same stuff with any of the other ones that are out there? As you get better with like grabbing imaging, when you start pulling that stuff in, you might be able to separate yourself. Takenos, of the group, you're the one who's bootstrapped it the best. And you've gotten to where you're actually making money. Now you're going into the most competitive world ever, and they will continue to chip away at your margins every way they can. You know, I can't decide. The crystal ball has heard from all of you. Let's all hold hands. And everybody give your powers into the crystal ball. Is it ticks in space? Is it money for healthcare? I'm getting a very strong vibe, and it's actually a reaction, a dynamic reaction. Reaction dynamic. You are the winner. You will move forward.
I was staring into that crystal ball. I think every team did fantastically well. I was happy just to participate. When I looked out at my mom and my dad, they just had this big smile on their face, and I think it couldn't have ended any better.
Other three can also jump straight to the finale. Go out, vote.
You should vote for us because we're going to have all the tool, all the knowledge at our fingertips so that all of us will make the right choices.
You probably have a friend getting paid while they're working cross borders. You could help us solve all the problems related to a cross-border transaction.
By the time the final airs, we'll be a lot more ready.
Female founders get less than 2% of all VC funding. We're looking forward to the opportunity to prove people wrong and show that we can be successful.
New York City's full of great entrepreneurs. This is a great city. See you next time on